Good morning, everybody. Waiting for the connection to catch up here. We are live. This is Homestaging Talk Show Live. And I am Jen Mars, your host. And Homestaging Talk Show Live is brought to you by the International Association of Homestaging Professionals. You can see that right back there. All right, so a little bit out of sync. Okay, anyway, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope you all had a great Labor Day weekend. We are feeling the effects of it here. We actually took the day off, which was nice, but then you end up cramming a lot of stuff in a couple of days, and that can cause some challenges. So anyway, hope you all had a great weekend. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Homestaging Talk Show Live, an ongoing conversation within the homestaging industry. Anybody interested in the industry, whether you're in a sister industry like design, decorating, professional organizing, feng shui, all those have crossover elements to staging but are different as far as what the goals are in doing the service. So our goal is to reach as many people as we can with information about staging in the industry and how you can be part of it and how we can grow it and impact more people, help sellers, help buyers, help realtors, help builders, help investors. So all of those aspects. And so those of you that are tuning in, thank you for joining us. If you would go ahead and share the segment while I'm thinking about it, share the segment to your page, that'd be great, or your profile. That allows us to reach as many people as possible. So a couple of quick announcements before we get started. Our Staging Industry Awards deadline was midnight last night, so midnight, September 4th. Your submissions for the industry awards, for Home Staging Industry Awards through IHOSP were due last night. So I know there were some issues with the form. I think there were so many people submitting things kind of last minute that the form got, I think, a little overloaded, or the site. So if you were trying to get your information in and couldn't quite do it, go ahead and email me your information. You can send it to Jennie, JENNIE, at IASP.com, so IHOSP.com. So go ahead and get those to me today. We do have to cut off these submittals because there's a lot of them. And now we got to go through all the submittals and all the pictures and information people turned in. So thank you to all of you that did submit. We greatly appreciate it and look forward to seeing who wins at the conference. There have been some questions about our conference, specifically the awards dinner. So those of you that are tuning in, of course, our conference is October 18th, 19th, and 20th in Charlotte. Really coming together fantastic. We have so much planned, lots of great education. We have the High Point Wholesale Tour, so those of you that are signed up for that, we will be sending out an email to all of you letting you know what you need to do ahead of time to get registered, and then there'll be a webinar training, a quick one for you to kind of save time at High Point, not to have to do that there. So the conference is the 18th, 19th, and 20th. So the 19th is our big awards dinner. So those of you that turned your information in, you might be awarded at the dinner. And so good luck to everybody. The attire, so it is a red carpet gala. So we are encouraging people to dress up. We did just put out a little announcement on that. So you can dress up. You don't have to be in a tuxedo if you're a man, but a nice suit. And then women, you can, if you want to put on a gown or fancy dress or cocktail party attire, that'd be fun. Who knows? People may even come as their favorite Hollywood starlet or star, actor, actress. And then, but if you don't feel like dressing up, you don't have to. So it's encouraged, but it's not mandatory. But we thought we'd have some fun and create a theme, which we've done in the past, and it's always a lot of fun to see how people dress up. So you will have time after the Scott Brothers session ends and the dinner begins. You will have over an hour of a break because they need to turn the room, and also people may want to freshen up, and we have a great dinner planned and all sorts of fun stuff. So think about that. Think about what you have and come prepared for those of you that are coming to the conference. We still are selling tickets, of course. We will sell tickets right up until the day of the event unless it sells out. So Don't wait to get your tickets. The price is going up in the middle of September, and also the hotel prices are going up September 18th after that day. So right now we have a really good rate negotiated with the Westin, and that rate will disappear starting September 19th. And so, and it's quite a significant increase, almost $100 a night increase. So do not wait to make your reservations. You can make reservations. We have people that are looking for roommates. So if that's something that you are interested in, please post on the 2018 conference page. Or again, you can email me, reach out to me and email me. Everybody that's going to the conference, we were asking for your meal selections, so hopefully you've turned those in. And shortly we will be sending out the breakout session sign-up forms for you. So look for that coming out in the email to you pretty soon. So, alrighty, Margaret, I think that's you who's asked to join in. I'm going to go ahead and bring Margaret on because this thing expires if I don't act on it right away. Okay, here we go. Oops. Okay, approve. All right, add. Okay, Margaret. Get all these little people's heads popping up here. Disappear. Okay. So today, we are going to talk about cultivating relationships with realtors. So we're going to have Mary Jo Camp on for design trends, and yesterday was just a cluster day for me. Same with her. So we never got to the tech test, and she's never done Facebook Live. So challenge trying to figure out a time that would work for us. So we're going to bring her on in a couple of weeks. We'll have her join us. So Margaret, since it's adding you, you should have had a request back from me telling you, do you want to be added to the broadcast? So I've already approved you. So it should, it's on your end. You need to just say, yes, you want to be, oh, there you are. You can, hooray. So Margaret,
hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. So I was working with Margaret and also Mary Scally and Janice Parsons, who are new trainers with StageStrums.com. We were doing our session last night, and I happened to mention my dilemma with Mary Jo, who she's never done Facebook Live. So if you've never done a segment, it can be sort of scary, I guess, to figure out how do you get on, you know, how does your phone have to be set up, etc. So Margaret said, well, I'll do it. I'll come on. So thank you. That's the sign of a true champ.
Are you there?
Somebody that will come on last minute and yeah, and I'll pick a great topic. So yes, we can see you. So good morning. I like your hair. It looks
Okay,
cute.
great. Oh, thank
Yeah. So we are going to talk about we're going to talk about cultivating relationships with realtors. And one of the great things about having Margaret on too is she's not only a stager, she's had a staging business for many years, and she's been training and teaching color and so forth. She's also a realtor. So you did that before you became a stager, right?
Yes, I became a realtor in 1994, and I was a realtor for just about 13 years. And real estate is it's an enigma, but it's also a culture, just like, you've got the Apple culture, you have the culture of Google and Amazon, and real estate is its own culture too, which a lot of people kind of miss. They don't understand the dynamics involved in it. And I think when you do, and we've got some really good suggestions and strategies, that once you can get into that culture, it will make marketing your business so much easier.
So you're kind of freezing up on the screen. I don't know if that's me or you. I'm going to reach for this here. So do your best not to move around too much. No, that's good. So we can see you. But I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi connection. I was having a little challenge hearing her. So she's been in the business 13 years, and she was sharing that there is a real estate culture. In fact, anybody who's been in larger brokerages, each one has there's a real estate culture in general, and then within each office there can be a culture. In fact, they'll use that word. I know, like Keller Williams, for example, they call KW culture. I mean, they use that word a lot. So even within specific real estate companies, you'll have different types of people that it attracts based on what their core beliefs are or how they operate their businesses. And so I find that fascinating that even there's like subcultures within the culture, right?
Yes, there are subcultures within the Keller Williams, within the Remax, all of those. They follow, they have their own different dynamic, they have their own different pecking order. And one of the hardest things for a real estate agent when they're thinking about making any kind of a change in their business is staying within the culture and the pecking order involved in that culture. Also, what's the dynamic? Has staging been used before within that office? So maybe it hasn't been used before. Maybe you're trying to get on board with a particular real estate agent and it's never been used in their office. Now think of this. Now that realtor is going back to their office, they're considering bringing a stager in to help them marketing their business. And there's a pecking order involved. And the biggest problem they have is actually they're in that box of fear that we talk about so often. They're in the box of fear of failure, fear of competition, fear of pricing. Another one, particularly with home stagers, is the realtor has the fear, is it going to be more work for me? Is it going to be more work for the real estate agent to bring in a home stager? So even no matter how beautiful your pictures are before and afters, if you're not answering and creating solutions for those problems and fears they have, they're just going to write you off, unfortunately. So you want to go in there and, create, how do you, first off, find out what they're looking for. Have they worked with a stager before? And one of the great ways to actually start working with a real estate agent is ask them, first off, start slow. Don't start, giving them your business cards the minute you meet them and selling, because there's so much between business and getting hired. There's actually, you want to hear them?
You're cutting
You
out.
want to hear those first steps?
So she's saying,
Oh, too bad. Okay.
yeah, so
Let me move a little
yeah,
closer.
so what she was saying is,
How's that?
when you're cultivating relationships with realtors, we don't want to be selling ourselves. In fact, I pulled up something too. Don't lead in talking about your company. It's not all about us,
Exactly.
even though we sometimes think it is about us because it's our company. Gosh, I need business. So you don't
Yes.
lead with telling about how great you are in your company. Look at my inventory. Look how beautiful everything is. You lead with finding out their pain point, how you can help them be more successful, and figuring out a solution to help them. So for a lot of realtors, I think staging definitely is a key marketing and listing tool. It definitely sets them apart from their competition. It
Jenny, you're
also
breaking
gives
up
them
just a
their
little bit.
productive time back because I am. So can you guys hear us okay? In the audience, somebody type if we're breaking up audio wise. Um, so find out what they're looking for and how you can make their time more productive. So instead of them having to advise sellers on what to do and so forth, we can step into that role, which then gives them that hour to 2 hours or more of time back where they can be making lead generation calls or taking time for themselves or their family. So
Yes.
what Margaret said is absolutely right. You don't want to be selling yourselves. You want to be finding out how can I help them with what they need in their business.
A great question to ask a realtor is, are they trying to meet any, every year, one of my first real estate managers, she would bring us into her office and say, what is your goal this year? Do you want to get platinum? How many houses do you want to sell? So a great question actually in the real estate culture is, how many listings do you have and how many do you need to sell to reach a goal? Perhaps they're up for an award and maybe they're just, 5 units shy of getting an award. And they want to, at the end of the year, they want to walk up on the podium and accept an award. So that's a good question to ask them is, are you trying to do you have a goal in mind? Are you trying to reach any awards? You know, I can help you do that. I can help you reach that goal. Find out what's important to them. It could, so find out what awards they're looking for. Um, the other thing that's kind of interesting is like when you're first getting started in staging, you want to run out, of course, and tell everybody what you're doing. But the other thing, you want to reach out to perhaps realtors who sold you your home or you've been in touch with in the past. How do you reconnect with someone who you haven't connected with in a long, long time? Maybe a year or 2 years or 5 years. Well, the best way to do that is always phone call, send them a text, or actually a phone call in this case if you haven't been in touch with them for a while, and say, getting into staging, and I wondered if I could just take some time and work with you, may perhaps help you with your marketing, be there, find out what they're trying to do. Because our job really is, we're helping the homeowner, but we're also what's the word for it? You know, we're an advocate for the real estate agent. We're there to, not for conspiracy, I almost said conspiracy, but we're there to help them reach their goals, because when they're successful, we're
Yeah.
successful. And there's actually 4 steps involved. The first one is, it's classic marketing, like me, meaning, you know, you give someone your business card, they like the looks, you know, maybe you've got a great looking business card, which you should. And many times people hire you for the funniest reason.
What?
They might say, your phone number is my lucky number, or you have the same name as my sister, or I used to live in Colorado. You know, people hire people based on, you know, funny things. So you give someone a business
So
card,
what?
that's how they get to know you. Go
So the
ahead.
first step is to get to know you. Okay, yeah, because you were cutting out. So
Yes,
the
to
first,
know you.
there's a four, Margaret has 4 steps she's going to share. So the first one is they got to get to know you, which means you actually have to, leave
Yes.
your house and you have to go meet people face to face. You can't hide in your
Well, it
office.
starts off,
Um, I
yeah,
think a lot of,
you can't hide out.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't be, you know, sitting at home. So they have to get to know you. They get to know you through your marketing materials. Okay. The next step is they get to like you. How do they get to like you? Perhaps at networking events, perhaps at a BNI if somebody belongs to business networking. Perhaps you are thinking of joining the local real estate board. Slow little steps, because what you're doing is you're building a foundation so that they feel secure hiring you. So after that's networking, and networking is when they like you. The next step is actually first they know you, then they like you, then they trust you. And how do they
Trust you.
trust you? They trust you because you're professional. You know, you're wearing your name tag, you're not just on time, but you're early for appointments. You know, you're early, you're the first one at that real estate board meeting. You're helping them set up the room for handouts. You're volunteering, perhaps you're volunteering for Habitat Humanity or something like that. Just always be early. And the next one after that is they start recognizing that, oh, she's early, she can carry on a conversation. She's not telling me about what she painted her house. The realtor is thinking, she's asking me what goals I'm trying to reach. She's here to help me. You know, turn it around. What would you want someone to ask you to help you with your business? That's what you want to ask the real estate agent. And then the next step from there is that's when they go into hire mode. That's when they start thinking about hiring you, because they know they can trust you coming into their office or working with their homeowner.
So yeah, so it is a step by step. So it starts off with they have to get to know you, right? And then so it's get to know you, then they're going to like you, and hopefully you're a likable
Yes, you
person.
are.
So if that's a challenge area, that's a challenge area. Work on that. This is a people business, so we have to have good people skills. Then they're going to trust you, and she says, show up on time, be early. Follow through. When they ask you to send them something or
Right.
to do something, follow through, and that's going to show them that they can trust you with their clients and with their business. And then the last one is that they're going to hire you because they realize, okay, this is somebody I want to partner with. And so she's absolutely right that cultivating that relationship, it takes time. Ultimately, what happens is the realtors that hire you, then they're gonna love you, right? Because you're part of their team. They're gonna start referring you, and that's the ultimate is they start referring you to their colleagues, which in a way kind of helps bypass some of the preliminary steps. Because when you get a referral from a trusted colleague and they've already vetted you, they've said, oh, I work with this person. She's really great. I trust her. She's really handles the clients well. She's trustworthy. She shows up on time. She's accountable, or he's accountable. He's trustworthy. You're going to love working with them. It's almost like you've sort of bypassed a couple of the
You
steps,
bypass
right?
almost the first 2 or 3, because have you ever noticed when
Yeah.
a friend says, oh, well, for instance, as an aside, yesterday my washing machine exploded and my downstairs got flooded, and who do you hire to come in and fix your washing machine? So my trusty girlfriend, Patty, was like, call this fellow. He's great. He's on time. You won't mind having him in the house. Called him up. His name was Joe Romano, if anybody needs a washing repair. He was on time, easy to talk to, fixed the washing machine, boom, gone, problem solved. So by using, somebody referring someone to you, you eliminate the like me, know me, trust me. You're already up there. And that actually cuts down on your marketing time, because now you've got more time. You don't have to bother going through those steps. You can just create that relationship. And what I actually, when this fellow was here, I gave him my business card. I said, you're great. I'd love to work with you. When I work with clients all the time, I give him my business card. And he was like, yeah, terrific, because he liked working with me. He didn't have to wait for the check. I was right there to pay him. So there's a real dynamic there. There's also a dynamic involved when people pay you, which a lot, when you're first starting out, you kind of miss. And that is, so many times when we're starting out, we want to work for free. We're like, oh, we'll do anything to stage. What can we do to do it free? And I was in my business. I worked.
So she's saying free. There's no value in free. So a lot of people think. In fact, Margaret, there was a gal that's on the home staging professionals page, and she's new. She posted a little video, and she said, "How do I get pictures for my portfolio? Do I, do my own house, my friends' houses? Should I do things for free for agents?" And so I wrote, I said, "Don't be giving your value away. There's no value in free.
There's no value.
There's no value in free, because then they're going to want it free all the time."
Right. And the other thing, there are many people, and this happened with the realtors I worked with. They said, with free, there must be something about that. Think of that. So there are
So she's saying sometimes if you give it away,
you can work with
there's
people, and you can barter.
Yeah,
There's
you're
nothing wrong with bartering. Oh, we break.
Yeah, you can barter, you can trade, but there always should be value. There should always be value attached to the staging that you're providing.
Exactly.
So let's say that you are looking to build your portfolio, and you're like, how do I do that? Just don't be giving it away for free. There should, Mark would say, you can barter, you can trade. Always explain what the value is of what you're bringing to the table, and then whether you actually collect funds for that or not, or you do something different. The value should always be expressed to the client, so they know this is not $5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Leslie Kramer just wrote that they get business because they answer their phone.
Perfect.
I think that's, going back to, like, working with, being responsive, being available.
Yes.
And I teach this, like, the kiss of death for stagers. A lot of times it's lack of response. Realtors they're always, they need it now. And so if you don't get back to them in an appropriate amount of time, they're going to go find somebody else. So not only being accountable and being trustworthy, but being available to them when they need something.
Yes, and that goes right with the professionalism. If they have to wait for you to call them back, they're moving on. They're not waiting. And as far as the value, it's really mutual value. People appreciate it will appreciate your efforts when it's mutual value. It can be currency. Like we said, it could be maybe you're doing work for someone, and maybe they're a webmaster. Maybe they can help you with your website. Maybe they're graphic arts. They can help you. So it's definitely, you want to have mutual value and professionalism. And also other questions that you ask the real estate agent. What are your days on market? I can help you shorten that period of time, because they really are in that box of fear. They're thinking, oh, we're hiring, it's amateur hour. We're hiring amateurs. You know what? You are not an amateur. Everything you're bringing to the table as a stager, you've been working on your whole life, let's face it. Like, we're creative geniuses, right? They can't do it. But we can, but we also have to cover those other steps that they offer us. I'm laughing.
Finding kind of their. Oh, I do. Yeah, no, it's good. It's very good. The points are excellent, and I feel like with realtors, finding out, asking them probing questions about what goals do they have for their business this year. So when they say, well, I want to increase my production 25%, or they give you some number, then you need to say, you don't just go, oh, wow, that's great. Then you have to think to yourself, well, okay, now how am I going to help them get there? And one of the things we know about staging is it is a key listing and marketing tool. And when an agent does include it in their business and then they have the success where it does sell faster or it sells at a better price, they can turn around and use that in their next marketing campaign to get more listings. And so it's a cycle that we start feeding
You're
into
already
as the
losing.
stager to help them
Absolutely.
be even more productive to increase their business. Yeah, and so it will help them stand out. So you need to become proficient at knowing what your statistics are in your market and how that would translate into a real estate agent you want to work with, a realtor. How would that even make a difference in their business? How can you take that and apply it to their business, not just yourself?
Right. And another question to ask them is what part of their business is the toughest part of their business? What do they dislike? And they may tell you they hate open
What's that?
home. Maybe
What
it's
part of their
the
business is
toughest
what,
part for
Margaret? I'm
them
sorry, you cut
is,
out.
yeah, their list.
So
Yeah,
I think she's asking what's
actually
the
just supposed
hardest
to be
part of their
three.
business.
They're supposed to be listing
So she's frozen.
and pricing.
When she
Other
sees this
than that,
playback, she's going to die because of that
we
face.
can help them with. So focus on
So
achievement of this
Margaret,
goal. We can help them reach
Margaret,
the goal.
Mar Margaret, you're frozen. I can't hear you. So
Um,
she's going to die when she sees this playback. So I don't know if it's your Wi-Fi connection where you are in your office. Um, you might want to, maybe we should have you come out and come back on. Do you want to try that?
Want to try
Okay.
that?
I'm gonna, oh, okay, now I see you. So now you're, okay, now that's better. You were frozen with an expression on your face. So you were talking about finding
Okay,
out where
I'm
they
sorry.
might
I
need the
can't
most
hear you.
help.
I
And then we
what
can be
happened.
offer
There
solutions.
we go.
Yeah. So the number one, the three ways, I pulled up a couple of things online. So the number one tip for cultivating relationships, this goes with any industry, we're going to apply it to real estate, is identify your target audience's number one problem, or we can call it a challenge, right? So she just talked about that. Realtors, you're their target audience, and the number one problem or challenge is lead generation and marketing, right? So a realtor's
Yes.
goal is to continually have business coming in, and that's the same as ours too. So how can you help them be more productive to get more business and help them with the marketing? Well, with the staging, when we're taking them out of the hot seat and handling the client and making their properties look great, they don't have to deal with that. That does give them more productive time back. And then, of course, the marketing side, we become, as Margaret said, an advocate for their business. So they can turn around and use the fact that they have a professional stager on their team as a marketing tool, and then also as a way to get listings, because there is there isn't any one market in the United States or anywhere in the world for that matter that has 100% of every property being staged. And there's some markets where it's very strong, like the San Francisco Bay Area, for example. Most properties there are
Mm-hmm.
staged. However, there's always new realtors coming in to the business, and they need people on their team because it's a standard for staging. They need people. So there's business to be had everywhere. And from a marketing standpoint, the agent either will rise above their competition who's not offering it, or be able to compete equally with the agents that are offering it, if that makes sense. So they need a resource, which is you.
Really
The next one is to create a solution.
agent working with the
I'm
homeowner.
sorry.
They ask
So
about
Margaret,
pricing,
Margaret, I'm gonna
and you can.
Margaret, I'm gonna
Oh,
Margaret, I'm gonna have you come back. I'm gonna have you come back on because the signal is so odd. You keep cutting out. So I'm gonna close you out and then request to come back on. Exit. You need to exit out of Facebook and then
got
come
it.
back on. Okay.
Will
And
do.
then hopefully the Wi-Fi connection will work. All right. Okay. I know. Mary Moore's like, I love the frozen look. Okay, so you want to create a solution for their challenge area. All right. So as a stager, it's not enough that we know how to pull houses together. We can work with clients. We're handling all different personality temperaments. We walk in the door to do a consultation to meet homeowners we've never even met before. and start engaging with them. So we have to be experts at reading body language and relating to people. We also need to kind of figure out, keep our fingers on the pulse of what's trending as far as systems and apps and so forth that can help make realtors be more efficient. Because when you're seen as a resource of valuable information, then they're going to continue to come to you and rely on you for that. And that helps to cultivate that relationship. It's a two-way street, not just a one-way. So if you're savvy at marketing, maybe there's a tip you can provide to realtors. One realtor I'm working with, he's an older gentleman. He's been in the industry for quite some time, and he is not social media savvy at all. So no Facebook presence, really no social media presence to speak of. And so I was just chatting with him, and I said to him, if there's only one platform that you can take the time to be on, it needs to be, and who can guess? Somebody tell me, somebody type in, what platform, if somebody only had one place they were going to put a lot of time, what would that be? So this is a quiz. I already know the answer from my opinion. So what do you think it is, those of you guys that are watching? So would it be, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google? Where would they want to put their time and effort if they only had a chance to do one social media platform? Nobody's guessing. Are you guys all afraid to guess? All right, I'll tell you the answer. Google Plus. So I told him that if there's only one place that he can put his time, that really is the best platform. And because it is owned by Google, when you post things publicly and use hashtags, you put hashtags and so forth in, that translates into the meta tags and keywords that people will type in when they're searching for a business provider. So an agent needs to have a presence there and publicly, because that'll help drive them up in the rankings. They'll be found. So, okay, I guess there was the the Facebook show lags. You guys were guessing LinkedIn or Facebook. Facebook. The thing with Facebook, it's great to engage within Facebook. However, when you Google a business provider, do you ever see their Facebook page show up as an option when you Google? I never see anybody's Facebook page, a link to it ever. So within Facebook pages are helpful. There's groups, you can network, people can find you if they're searching within Facebook. But the Facebook page itself, company page or personal pages, they don't show up in a Google search. So being on something that is going to allow you to show up in a Google search like Google Plus or YouTube, because YouTube is now the #1 search engine, passed up Google, having a presence on a Google product is important. So I was able to pass that along to him, and he appreciated the advice. And then I was able to share, I have some resources that they actually do social media as a business. And so, if he doesn't have the time or desire to learn all that he says at his advanced age, there's people you can hire to do that. And again, will make him more productive, but allow him to get in the game and engage in something that is not going away. It's only getting bigger. So, all right, Margaret, request to join again. You disappeared on me. I'm sorry. The third thing is to host or own the solution. So you need to position yourself between the service being provided and the realtor, so the service becomes a value-added service doing business with you. So, for example, as a stager, what value-added services can you offer the agents that they would have maybe a challenge getting on their own, or would be a big time suck for them to kind of figure it out? So what value-added services can you bring to the table? Well, a lot of that for us is our relationships with providers such as movers, things our clients are going to need. You have good handyman painters. Maybe you have, we have that relationship with Sherwin-Williams. We can help save money for the clients there. So think about the solutions that you can offer to your agents that create value for you. Something some stagers are doing as well. Adding, there you are. Hello.
Hi there.
That's hi. Oh, now you're, okay, there you are. Maybe you have a really great photographer you have a relationship with, and so as part of your package as a stager, you bring that to the table. That helps save the realtor the step. And I'm finding with the photography, and I appreciate the photographers, the work that they do to make our staging look great and the properties look beautiful. They their schedules can be sort of tough. And so what happens is oftentimes the realtor is booking the photographer and then going to the stager and saying, I have photos at 4, you need to be done. So it isn't it's smart, I think. I was going to say it's not unwise. It's actually smart as a stager to maybe take that aspect off the plate of the realtor and offer, professional. It can't be you taking pictures with your phone. You have to actually hire somebody. But when you're in control of that, then you'll be the one setting the schedule with the photographer based on when you know you're going to be done, and then align that with when the realtor needs to get this property on the market. So finding a way to add value, that something that they can't do on their own or resource on their own as effectively as you can. So, all right, you're back. You look more clear. So, did you move in the house?
No, actually, nothing's changed. I haven't changed the position of the phone. But I think what you
Okay.
brought up about the real estate agent is that when they receive offers and there may be a contingency, the that realtor as part of the negotiation can bring up the fact that he or she wants their stager to stage the house that's has to be sold for a 24-hour kickout. And that's another way to, secure to secure a closing, because the hardest part actually for the realtors is the negotiation. You know, it's almost like people say, with staging, all you have to do is paint the front door and hang a wreath. But with real estate, people think, oh, all you do is put a sign in the front and put pictures online. It's not that simple. And the toughest part is the negotiation. When a
Right.
realtor receives an offer and the house has to be sold because it has that contingency, and they say, that realtor says, all right, I am sending my stager over to stage your property to make sure it sells. You're creating a trusting dynamic, because what's going to happen is that our sellers will find out for sure if these people are really motivated to buy the property. Staging is like the line in the sand for people who are sincere and they really want to have their home staged, they really want to have their houses sold. So it helps the
This is
realtor
true.
filter out, the tire kickers.
Right. The people that are the sellers that really are not serious about selling, their motivation, they might say, oh, yeah, we want to sell. And then if you pin them in the corner, are you really serious about selling? And then they'll come back and say, well, we want a certain price. If we get the price we want, then we'll sell. But if we don't get the price we want, then we'll just stay. Well, they're not 100% motivated. And so with staging, what Margaret was saying is very true. When we go over there, we start talking about you got to pack up. Maybe they need to paint. They need to make some changes or improvements. In their head, they might be thinking, well, I don't want to do that because if the house doesn't sell, I don't want to have to repaint that wall or do this over again. And so that they will reveal themselves when it comes to the staging process. And then we can go back to the agent and say, this is what was revealed during the consultation. I just want you to be aware of it. As a realtor, that to me probably is one of the biggest challenges, is to really determine how motivated somebody is, um, and how serious they are about having to sell. So she's right that the staging will help them weed out the tire kickers, the people that really aren't serious, because we all only have 24 hours in a day. And us, just like any business owner, you want to be using your time productively and not taking a lot of time with somebody who really isn't going to use your service. So so I love that. So again, they get to know you, they like you, they trust you, they're going to hire you, and then they're going to refer you. So there is a book that I spoke on. Okay, at a conference. I wrote this. I know it's backwards. It's called The 7 Levels of Communication, and so it's by Michael Maher, Maher.
Oh,
So
I've heard of that.
I belong to.
Great book.
It's a great book. It's such an easy read because I don't have time to read books that take a lot of brain power, because if I set it down and then and I have all this other stuff going on, then I go, oh, what chapter was on? What was happening in the book? And so then I have to go back and reread. So I'm like, I'm not doing that. So this is like a sort of a story novel, if you will. So it's about a realtor, and the book starts off with he's very discouraged about his business and he wants to quit, and he thinks, oh, everybody's better than he is, and he just doesn't understand why he's not being successful, and he's kind of down in the dumps. And so he goes to meet with this lender at this coffee shop, and she knows everybody in the coffee shop. She's saying hi to the greeter, she's saying hi to the wait staff. She knows everybody, and she has people coming to her table, and she's just so happy and positive. And he's like, man, is she for real? And so he sits down and talks with her, and he just, he can't understand why she's so excited about her business when he's so not excited about his. And she invites him to a seminar, And so he goes, I have nothing to lose. So he goes to the seminar, and it's a coaching seminar. And so then the rest of the book takes you through is, I think it's 7 weeks with this coach, the 7 levels of communication and what he learns. And by the end of the book, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it has a good ending. You're learning the different levels of communication and how to get from informational zone into influential zone. So there's actually a pyramid um, in here that they draw out. Let's see if I can find it. So this was one of the handouts. That's the pyramid. Can you guys see that? Oh. Communication pyramid. So most of us stay in what they call the information zone. So you do advertising, you market yourself. Um, let's see, electronic communication, so emails. So you're doing things that are easy. They don't require a lot of personal engagement or personal touch. Handwritten notes is right in the middle. So you go from informational into influential. So handwritten notes, very powerful, the power of the pen. Then there's phone calls, events and seminars, and then one-on-one meetings. So when you go from just sending out emails, texts, newsletters, those you still have to do some of that electronic communication. But when you can cross over into calling them on the phone and talking to them, being interested in their life, inviting them to a seminar, and it doesn't have to be like a business seminar. I mean, you could invite a client to a concert. I got ballet tickets for Sleeping Beauty, and I got them for Lauren and me to go, and I thought Nick wanted to go, her boyfriend. She goes, no, he doesn't want to go. So I got these 4 tickets because then John was going to go. Now the boys don't want to go, so I got these 2 extra tickets. So I'm like, well, I'm going to invite a client. Let's invite somebody and have a night, and then one-on-one. So being able to get together one-on-one, find out about who they are, find out about their lives. You want to have things in common. A lot of the realtors I've worked with for a very long time, we have the same like core beliefs and foundations. So, and by the way, I teach this too. I know that I'm not going to appeal to every single person I talk to. Neither will Margaret, neither will you guys. The idea that you're going to be loved by every single person you encounter, that's false. They don't have to hate you or anything like that, but you'll find people that you have common ground with, and because it is a relationship, and that's what we're talking about today. You're cultivating a relationship. So think about, it's not just, how can they give me money for staging, but who do I want to be in business with long term? So it is a two-way street. So the realtor's thinking the same thing. Who do I want to be in business with long term? Is it that person? And you need to ask yourself, do I want to be in business with that realtor or that photographer, whoever your affiliates are, long term? Do they have the same work ethic, the same values, core values, and so forth? And if not, it's okay to part ways. So what would you add to that, Margaret?
Well, that's a great book, and I recommend it. And it reminds me also of that book, Who Moved My Cheese? Have you ever read that?
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah, long time ago.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it says that, sometimes we try so hard to work with people or, create a relationship, whether it's business or personal, but yet, maybe it's just not working. And you know what? Stop, take your energy someplace else where it's appreciated. And that goes along with, if you're working with somebody who's pleasant to work with, you want to continue working with them. If you're working with a realtor who is just a real jerk, do you really, sometimes they don't pay
right,
you enough money for a living. So you have to consider, like, what does your perfect client look like? Just like, what's the perfect home for you to stage? What's your perfect homeowner that you would stage for? Who is your perfect real estate agent to work with? Not for, but to work with. And like you said, it's really, do they have the same values? Do they have the same interests? And also what you can do is, when someone has to do an open house, you can find out from them, well, really, if you weren't doing the open house today, what would you be doing? What would you rather be doing? And as I
right.
mentioned earlier, that real estate agent who said she just hated doing open houses, well, it was because her family was always doing fundraisers for her grandchild who had cystic fibrosis. And so to her, that was her pet fundraiser. And she was missing out on a walkathon, a 5K that was going on that particular day for that particular open house. But, there's somebody who might have something in common, with you, or find out what makes them tick. So you might like what makes them tick and you may not like what makes them tick. So That's really, and I recommend that book, Who Moved My Cheese. It's excellent.
Yeah, and in the Seven Levels book, they talk about there's the point where they're talking about becoming the one that gets referrals. So the coach tells this guy, I don't know what his name is in the book because I forgot, tells him, ask these clients when people need a realtor or they need a stager or whoever, are you referring me? And you need to ask that of your clients, are you referring me? And then be willing to hear the answer. If the answer is no, you need to say, well, why is that? How can I earn that trust, that position with you to be the person that you refer? Because it is something that you have to earn. And so a lot of people would never ask that question because they don't want to hear that they're not being referred, or they don't want to hear, well, it's because of, this situation, or this other person I'm referring does this a level of service, and that's why I know I can send them out, I can trust them, they're going to follow through, and then you want to become the chosen one. That's the ultimate goal. So with realtors, we also have to remember as stagers, I know that like yesterday is one for the books. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong did as far as deliveries. My first delivery didn't even happen until 9 p.m. 9 p.m. First of three. So the
What
other
did
the other
you
two,
do?
I don't think happened. I don't know. Maybe they did it on the way back. Anyway, it was just one of those days. So we have situations we deal with. We're fighting fires. We have a lot of things behind the scenes we're handling. And so I'm married to a realtor, and our son is also now an agent. And so I see what they're putting in. And I've worked with realtors long enough to know there's a lot of work behind the scenes that they don't even get any accolades or credit for from the homeowner. John has a listing where he really cares more about the property than the people selling it. I mean, they could care less if their grass dies. I mean, we went and bought like $140 in plants to put out. And I'll tell you guys, the house had gone under contract, fell out at inspection. They had to put a new roof on, put it back on the market. And wasn't getting a lot of activity, getting showings. And so I'm like, the curb appeal, let's get some mums. So I went, so $140, mums by the front door, out on the deck, got a cute little green umbrella for the patio set. And I don't know if that's what made the difference or not, but anyhow, they're under contract. And the sellers just, you know, no thank
Yeah.
you, no acknowledgement. He's going over there watering their yard, and he's not like he doesn't have other stuff to do. So even open houses, some of these agents are putting out a ton of signs for their open houses, and they're getting up early in the morning to put them out on the streets. And so, if that's something that you have some time as a stager, what you could say, hey, I'll help you put out your open house signs, or offer something to help take some of the workload off their plate, to help them not feel so pressured. And let's say that you do have a realtor that is having a bad day, and is not speaking to you respectfully. I wouldn't just blow a torch and go screw you, and like burn the bridge and the relationship. Find out, say, hey, it seems like you're kind of stressed out. Is there anything I can help you with? Let me help you. Tell me what's going on. So they're either going to go, no, there's nothing wrong with me. Then I'm like, okay, I don't want to work with that person. Or they might go, you know what, I'm just having a really tough week. And it's usually something in their personal life. They may open up and tell you about it. But just the fact that you care enough to ask. And so don't always just judge people at face what's happening in the moment, because there's usually a story behind it. And give people the benefit of the doubt. But then again, don't put yourself in a position working with somebody, whether it's an agent or somebody else, that isn't appreciative of what you do, and is going to treat you disrespectfully. So those people don't have a place in my life.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. We don't want the abuse, but you want to be helpful. And that's actually
mhm.
where there is an advocate, helping them. And I actually had a listing, one of my first stagings years ago. There was an oil leak in the basement of the home for just about 2 hours before the open house started. And I happened to be there doing fine tuning and found this out, caught it in time for the realtor, because if we hadn't caught it, they would have had a major hazardous waste. It would have turned into a hazardous waste site. They would not have been able to
Wow.
sell the home. So you're just there. It's such a tough business. It's like an iceberg. We only see that top third of it. There's so much else going on underneath that anything you can do to make their day easier, they're going to appreciate that. And that's all part of being a professional. Part of also being a professional is, not holding a grudge, moving on, not, no pettiness. It's really
Right.
about the business and making it work easier for them.
Right, and you know, as a stager, so let's say that you are putting a pricing proposal together for staging, and you send it to the realtor, and they don't go with you. Maybe the client selects somebody else. You don't just write that realtor off. I always, you know, I'm like, you know, thank you so much for the opportunity. Would love another one in the future. You know, keep me in mind. So just always leave that door open. Don't just take them off your list because they didn't work with you. And I do sometimes like to find out like what the reason is. Was it pricing? Then sometimes they'll tell you, oh, they just went in a different direction. And I don't know what that even means. Either they chose not to stage or
Right.
they went in a different direction. So, however, always leave a positive wake because you don't know the situation with you know with the realtor. This other person may not work out. They're going to come back to you. So don't just kiss them off and go, well, I didn't want to work with you anyway. So you don't want to get upset if you don't get the business. Always leave that
Right.
door open. Yeah.
I always like to say that follow up until they tell you to stop. Even if I just want, you want your database there, because I'm always thinking ahead of like when I sell my business in 5 years, my database is going to be very important in the sale of my business. So you want to
Right.
create that database. And you also, if they're not available this time, just make sure they're on your list. You're using constant contact. You're sending out those cards on the holidays. I worked with a mortgage banker once, and anytime a realtor, this was probably before the banking dilemma a few years ago, but anytime a realtor suggested her as a mortgage banker, she would send us movie tickets, which was like, what a nice surprise. She'd send out little gifts or whatever. And, there's something about what is it, the principle of reciprocity. You give someone a gift and they're 14 times more likely to hire you. So keep those things in mind. Sometimes in the
And,
power of the note, getting a
yes.
letter in the mail is almost like getting a gift nowadays. I mean, it's
And
great
it,
to open up something, isn't it?
yeah. It is the power of the pen and always little, you know, appreciation gifts. I did a lot of that early on when I was growing both of my companies, the one in California and here, having to grow it cold. I relied on the power of the pen and then dropping off little, inexpensive, but just, you know, had a little slogan, a little gift, and then being able to show appreciation. So I used to give Starbucks cards and so forth. What I'm more inclined to do now would be, you know, you also need to find out, do the realtors have client events that you can support? So you could
Yes.
support it monetarily. You could support it by volunteering your time. I did one time. I did face painting at a one of the realtors events at the park, and you know, I mean, I'm a decent face painter. You know, I don't do all necessarily all the glitter stuff, but I thought, well, I'll sit there and I'll face paint. And so, you know, you can write a check to help pay for part of that, but you need to ask the realtors when you're sitting down and talking to them, how can I help support your business, not only as a valued team partner, but also to help you get more business? So do you have client events once or twice a year? Um, you know, okay, I'll help support that. And then you figure out what that means for you. I know initially I didn't have a lot of money to be able to support these events. So then I would be more inclined to say I can donate my time, or maybe I just gave to an auction, a silent auction for Habitat for Humanity. So one of my realtor clients asked me to donate. So I'm like, sure. So I gave a 1 hour consultation along with a really pretty candle. So there's a tangible item with it. And I just got a little thank you note back for it. So don't be afraid to give your services as a, you know, as a way to give back to these agents. So find out how you can partner in their events for success. And the book is Who Moved My Cheese? Virginia was asking, who moved my cheese? So
Who moved
um,
my space?
there's,
Yes.
yeah, so there's seven. So I pulled up this other thing in working with realtors. The first seven tips. Be proactive is the number one. It says for realtors, it's frustrating when they have to contact you to see the status of a file. So in this case, it would be status of a staging. So you know, let's say that they've hired you for a consultation or you're doing a staging project. Let them know when it's done. So I always email the realtor the staging consultation
Absolutely.
summary. You can text them. I'll oftentimes at the end of a vacant project, when the team sends pictures, I'll forward them to the agent and say, you know, sneak peek, here's how it turned out. These aren't professional pictures, but they like to see, they want to know that it's done because that's one less thing they have to remember. Um,
Right.
be
I think a key
honest
point with
is the
that,
next
Jenny,
one.
too.
So,
Oh, well, I think a key point with that first one is whenever you leave a property, particularly a vacant property, you want to let the realtor know or the builder that you've left the property. Because if anything ever happens, you don't want it to come back to you. At least you can, if they contact